Zombie Survival is a multiplayer game mode on Garry's mod where humans try to survive against waves of zombies. It's a bit different to other zombie games in that you can play as both the zombies and the humans. I think this makes it somewhat unique. This video is going to try and give you some outline of the basics of the game when you're playing as a human. So whenever you start a new map, this is one of the first screens that you'll see at the start of it. You can close it and also press F2 to bring it back up again. Essentially this is where you buy all your weapons, medical kits, resupply boxes, arsenal crates, all the tools that you'll need to start off your survival. So I'll start with the guns and I'll give you a quick lowdown on them. The handguns aren't particularly brilliant, but they're not particularly bad either. Of all of them, I think probably the pea shooter is probably my personal favourite. It seems to have a high rate of fire. The shotgun is an effective weapon at close quarters, but it lacks at range. Things like the Tosser SMG and a Crackler assault rifle are quite good at medium range. For long range attacks you want to be looking towards the Stubber rifle. The Z9000 pulse pistol supposedly slows down zombies, but I'm not particularly fond of it really. Ammunition, it's pretty self-explanatory really. You got melee weapons. These sort of vary in effectiveness. Something like the plank has a high speed attack, so you can attack quickly. There's other weapons later on in the game, like a sledgehammer, which pack quite a wallop. You can only get those from the arsenal crate. The meat hook's quite an effective weapon as well, in that it sticks into zombies, thus impaling him. Click on the tools menu. Medical kit, medic gun, and medical kit power. They allow you to heal the other survivors around you. The medical kit will allow you to heal yourself as well. The arsenal crate is what you use to buy items, I think like ammunition, or other tools and stuff like that. Resupply box just gives you ammo basically. The infrared gun turret, now if you've got a good V-cade up and then have an infrared gun turret there, you're going to have a very powerful cade there. The manhack's like a little drone that just flies around, you can control, you can attack zombies with it, scope out nests with it. Mechanics range lets you repair manhacks, infrared gun turrets, and also the Aegis boards as well, which you can only get from the arsenal. Carpenter's hammer is what you use to build a barricade with. Box of nails, extra nails for the hammer, but it does come with some. Junk pack is basically give you a few extra props to play with. Spot lamp, it'll give you a light to light up the barricade, and also it's pretty effective against the shade as well. And a message beacon basically puts a spot on the map which other survivors can see. Okay, now we'll go into the other tab. Stones, you can basically, it's a little rock that you can throw at zombies. If you get a headshot, and it'll do quite a bit of damage to them. Grenades, pretty self-explanatory really. Pull the pin and throw it. Don't hang on to it for too long. Detonation pack, it's an item that you can place down, and then you press 5 to activate the controller for it and detonate it when you want. It's not a good idea to be too close to it when you're detonating it. The oxygen tank is something that lets you breathe underwater a little bit longer. Traits and returns, they'll add like little extra bonuses to your character. Give them a little HP, make them a bit faster, better repairing, better medic. And the returns, they'll basically penalties really. Some of those can be quite sort of detrimental really, so you want to think carefully about before you use them. Things like the clumsy in particular, which makes it easy to knock over. If you get knocked down when you're outside a barricade, you're pretty much a sitting duck. The band for life also stops you from buying from the point shop as well, which makes things a little more difficult. So if you actually want to buy something though, say if I want to buy the Crackler assault rifle, a hammer and maybe a stone, you see a little basket next to Crackler assault rifle. You just click that basket, and I'll add it to the list. Notice the points value in the bottom left drops as well correspondingly. So pick another Cobdis hammer as well. I'll drop it down to 5. I'll pick a stone as well. If you want to deselect something, just click it again. Once you're happy with it, you can click check out. Also what you can do as well is go to the favourites tabs, and if you click the save current cart, that'll save your loadout. Very handy rather than having to go through it each time clicking what you want. Another aspect of zombie survival as well is crafting, or basically combining items. This is something that only humans can do, and it'll let you make interesting items, things for barricades, and new weapons as well. Now to craft even, you'll actually need to find props that can be crafted together. Now for this one, you can take a little fuel can and a barrel, and craft those together to make an explosive barrel. All you do, get close to the props, hold down the Alt key, left click on one prop, right click on the other, and it'll craft them together. You can also do it with things like a box as well. Left click on one, right click on the other, and you've got an even bigger box now, which is, I think, marginally tougher than the smaller box. And obviously there is quite a bit you can craft in as well, so I'd recommend you just have a little look on Google to have a look at some of the zombie survival crafting guides to see what you can do. One thing you can do is combine this explosive barrel with a sledgehammer, and you'll make a mega masher, which is actually a very powerful weapon, albeit it's somewhat slow to wield. Another thing that you probably noticed as well when I pressed the Alt was it brought up a little menu. Now for this I can use this to transfer things like nails to other players, ammunition. I can also empty the magazine out of a gun, drop it, give the weapons to other survivors as well. There's one thing I strongly recommend you do. If you've got a very powerful weapon but loads of maybe not as powerful weapons, it might be worthwhile just dropping him and letting other survivors pick him up, because they might only have something like a pistol or even something like a plank or something like that. So if you help them out by giving them weapons and ammunition, then you're going to prolong your survival as well. And another thing as well, yeah, don't get greedy as well. When you see a weapon on the floor, don't pick it up unless you need it, really. There's bound to be other players out there who can need it, so remember, survival in this game does depend on working together as a team. I can't stress that enough. Okay, so the next stage is obviously to start building a barricade. Now the first thing you'll need to do is find a suitable place to barricade. Now I think this will probably do for every example I'm going to show you. Now I'm not claiming to be an expert on barricades, but I know enough to basically give you the basics on how to go about building it. What I'll do first of all is I'll actually build a basic V-cade and show you where to go from there. First of all, you need to select your hammer because you'll be using that to nail the props in place. Press E on the prop to drag it around until it's into a suitable position. By the door, obviously, to stop them coming in. Now what you need to do is, with your carpenter's hammer selected, right click through the prop and nail it to the floor. What you do then, get the other shelf and then move that into position on the opposite side. So again, E to drag it into place. And that's the beginning of a basic V-cade. Now if it's swinging in the wrong place and I need to move it, just press R on a nail and I'll unnail it. Now obviously as it is, it's not very brilliant really. You can still get the zombies coming through, they can still jump through the gaps in the side of it. Like so. Well, you can take my word for that. Basically at the minute it's not very good as a kid. It'll slow them down, but it's not going to stop them. Obviously what I need to do to stop them is put props in to block the gaps up. Now when I pick up a little prop, some props like this shelving I've seen, you can't actually pick them up. You can only drag them. But small props like this bench, you can pick them up. If you hold down Alt and move the mouse around, you can spin it around. Like so. So I've put it into the ideal position. I can then hold down Shift and that'll let me move around and just see how it looks in. If I move too far away then I'll let go of the prop. And you notice there I nailed it to the floor as well and not the actual shelf itself. The reason behind that is if I nailed it to the shelf and the zombies attack the shelf enough, the nail on the shelf would actually collapse, taking the bench with it as well. So essentially there'll be two props lost there. If I do it this way around, and if the shelf goes, the bench should still stay in place. So that'll provide maybe a little extra time, maybe to get some kind of Aegis barricade kit set up, or repair the kit if there's enough time between waves. And this is basically a V-cade. Obviously there's a gap in the middle here, which you actually put one of the infrared turrets in there. And once you get that set up, it's actually a pretty powerful cade. Obviously it's important with the barricade as well to leave gaps for the other survivors to shoot through. It's no good just piling on props and props and props and keep piling it on until you've got nowhere to shoot out from. Because zombies will just hide behind those props and just attack the arcade and destroy it. Obviously at this point I'd obviously need an arsenal kit in the arcade as well to stand any chance of long-term survival. I'll demonstrate a bit more about what I meant by prop and prop nailing. You see I've nailed that shelf to the filing cabinet. Now if I undo the filing cabinet, which would simulate the zombies destroying, well, it might not be easy to see, but essentially that can be knocked over now. But it's important, as one thing I would recommend as well, if you see someone barricading and you don't have a hammer, then don't start throwing props randomly onto the arcade, because that won't help anything. All you'll do is stop the other survivors from coming in and out. And you'll also provide props that the zombies can knock off into other survivors, potentially killing them. Now to go through an actual barricade itself, you hold down the Z button, and that'll let you walk forwards and backwards through it. Useful if you need to go outside, though obviously if you've got a horde of zombies attacking, it's not a good idea to go wandering about. That's roughly the very basics of barricading really. The best advice I can give you is join a zombie survival server. Have a look at some of the other players playing it, see how they build arcades, and see how you should do it, or in some cases maybe how you should not build a barricade. And obviously some people think a barricade is just basically a pile of props, which really all I'll do is just slow them down, it won't stop them. If zombies do get a pile of props, it may knock them into the survivors, or if you actually get a shade as a boss, and you'll probably just start picking up the props and firing them at the survivors. It's pretty much game over if you get a shade and a load of loose props. And that basically just covers all I can think of for now on the actual barricading aspects of it. Next I'll move on to have a look at the other way of surviving zombie attacks, and that's ramboing, i.e. going without a arcade. If you find yourself outside of a barricade with zombies around, then knowing how to fight will improve your chances of survival. In the first round you'll be facing zombies, ghouls and headcrabs. For the first two, zombies and ghouls, you can outrun them if you turn away from them and run forward. This is useful to give yourself a bit of distance before you turn around and blast them with your gun. Headcrabs can't be outrun though and should be dealt with quickly, along with freshly dead humans who can match your speed. Once the second round comes, you'll be facing race and fast headcrabs, both of which can be dangerous to you if you don't know what you're doing. The race weakness is when it attacks, it stops in position, and they are only visible when moving quickly or when attacking. With the advent of the third round, or half the survivors dying, you start facing fast zombies, who can quickly leap up to you and start making short work of you. From this point on, if you have a competent zombie team, then you're going to be the next meal very quickly, unless you get inside a barricade. The main problems of being outside a arcade are health and ammo. When your health falls below 40, then you start to slow down, making outrunning zombies less likely. Also, unless you have access to an ammo box or supplies, then you're going to have to conserve ammo and rely more on running and meleeing to survive. Meleeing a zombie is actually good fun, somewhat reckless. Essentially, just keep moving and looking to land attacks while dodging their swings as well. Some melee weapons can attack quickly, some do more damage but take longer to swing, so you might want to adjust your strategy accordingly. Might also be an idea to craft some of these stronger melee weapons so that you can do more powerful attacks. Okay, and lastly, with the exception of the butcher, most bosses can be outrun too, so you can just use a shoot and run strategy to deal them damage over time. Overall, it is possible to survive outside a barricade for a bit, but once the fast zombies start coming, and you could end up in trouble very quickly. With this being a multiplayer game as well, teamwork is actually very important to surviving on it, so do help out your team because all your lives depend on it. Heal people if you have a medkit, put down arsenal and resupply crates inside barricades to help others. This will also help you and everyone else with ammunition as well, and let you buy better guns and weapons as the match progresses and you get more points. If you have a gun and get into position inside the barricade and start shooting zombies, cover anyone else who might be out there struggling. Don't just fall back to the last line of the barricade and hide there for a few rounds. That doesn't help anyone really. With regards to barricades, do gather props for anyone who is barricading and put them somewhere that's near to the cade, but don't throw them on the cade or tell them to nail something. This will then help them build a better cade, as they'll have to spend less time gathering props. If a cade is damaged and you have a carpenter's hammer, you can move up to the damaged prop and left click on it to repair it. You can use this shift key as well to highlight any nails which are damaged. If you have a mechanic's wrench, and use a left click to repair Aegis boards, turrets and drones. The longer you keep these in one piece, and the better your odds of survival. You can get points from shooting zombies, repairing barricades, healing people, and having people use your ammo crates as well. Sometimes it's a better idea to wait for the intermission between waves before buying, as things will be a little bit cheaper then. Overall, this isn't a comprehensive guide on everything to do with being a human on zombie survival, but it does cover a lot of the basics. Of course, the best way of learning is actually to play the game, and to learn from the other players,